Yeah, I wanted to get this in real quick while I was thinking about it. It's kind of like, I don't even know what time it is. I don't know, but anyway, I woke up kind of like thinking about it because of it's a commercial. A lot, back in the 80s, there was a guy um, advertising for Infinity, and the question, is she born with it? And the thing with this is kind of like, I'm kind of like thinking about, my last name is Pretty, okay? P-R-I-D-D-Y on the map, Pretty, Texas, okay? And, it's got to the point, you kidding me? In any case, so like, I was thinking about something about the infinity, because the infinite lines at the 90-degree right angle, and the pi r square about the symmetrical, asymmetrical thing about it. And, the pi r squared is about the, finding the diameter of a circle using approximation of a radius and all that. But, likewise, in addition, with the symmetrical, asymmetrical thing about the pronunciation of the formula itself being squared, okay? And using it at a diagonal would present the two triangles that way. Still yet a 180 of each, and being the 360 and the circle that way. Almost representative of, the two 9-hole golf courses and the 18-hole golf course in a way. Likewise, in addition, yet perfect 10-10 vision of the difference between like the exponential quotients of, variables of powers of multiplication as compared to the power squared. What would be normally, a variable based upon, an unknown until it's being used to find, until what is being used is actually determined as a known fact, the variable as a formula, being presented to use that way. And even when the known information for the practical application of the formula itself and computation normally would be, something like pi r squared, and the exponential placement where a variable would normally be with the already known fact being, the number 2 based upon, simple addition, okay? But anyway, so like it's kind of like I was thinking about the Diners Club, because, like the Coors Light commercials, kind of like when you see a mountain climb it. And, it's like the humor that really I've been thinking about quite a bit about, pile, and the thing about the toilet, okay? And, and all that Maxwell Smart, getting Maxwell Smart thing about it. And the summit meeting in a way, really seriously. And really, and think about when you see a mountain climb it. In the way of like, computation, because like on a symbolic representation between the C and the PTIS on the backside of the US $1, okay? Like once again, it's like, it's almost like a thing like a memory minus de facto, and obviously it's only that, and really without television or entertainment or world news or something about the video or what legal media and deposition is on television, or that way, even like an appraisal of a resurrection. It's almost like the golden interior and the red carpet thing about something about my memory about that, and how true it is. Whether I'm really not even sure if it's the Kremlin, but there's something about the front page news of Houston Chronicle and Star Furniture with the different by design thing about what I'm kind of like talking about. The Star Furniture different by design, and the E thing about the computation and structure beyond calculus and quantum, the structure. Um, and so I'm really just going on my memory, and I really didn't quite think of it quite like a Japanese letter, but it is in that way. And I'm not sure if it's even the exact, but the impression of the symbolic representation of the structure of the formula and computation and the structure itself. This being parallel in 71 that way, Japanese and all that stuff. And the thing about everything that's been leading to, a method of banking, and the information is only provided, how true it is, and, but it is what the information is in any case, that there's 22 letters in the Japanese alphabet, okay? And, that might look all symbolic to someone who doesn't read and write Japanese, or have more meaning than just, one word. In any case, yeah, so like that structure in quantum with the different by design, it seems to be something that I'm thinking about with Bloomberg and Diners Club. Of course, like when you see them out in climate, because the computation with that symbolic representation between C and PTIS and that, what would look like maybe on a calculator 0 point E without the point in it, and the unity that way, and the three most simple methods of simple addition would be each individual, then the left side, because the left side on the back side of the U.S. $1 bill above the I called the deity based upon terminology of the United States Treasury, the I representing the word deity. It's a word straight from the United States Treasury about the I, okay? And all that absentee voting about the um, even the uh, Ecclesiastes, yeah, sure. And the thing about even Sprite with like the two colors of Sprite representing, like the information, going through the education is, a pastel green being in a province of world history. And the thing about, my thing about that pastel color, like a golf course, okay. And the jurisprudence, like the colors of Sprite, is like virtually, I mean, identical to the color of the jurisprudence book. And they're different. One is obviously the pastel, and how true it is about the jurisprudence. I'm not sure if it's really even considered a pastel. Maybe so, maybe not. But I know that the colors on, like Sprite, especially, I'd mentioned it several times, is that there's a symbolic representation, a design that I've done myself. But the thing with this is that it's on there, and how long, I'm not sure if it's still available, but the information that's being provided now would suggest kind of like the design of the ear itself, and the seashell, kind of like a J look, but that's really not what's on the cam, but that's the information, and that's what the deal is about networking, okay? And it's not that I'm ignoring it, but really, I'm talking about something that would represent maybe even an eccentric, kind of like the class curve thing about the design, and it looks like kind of like a boomerang, and it kind of looks like a symmetrical, asymmetrical thing of a boomerang, yet a Z in design, the way the actual cap on a bottle of a Sprite, 21-ounce bottle of Sprite, and that being something that just came to be something natural that I realized, and it's actually on the can, okay, but it's something that I was looking at, and I actually used the cap and actually did something like that. I mean, exactly like it, really. But anyway, and and it's like almost like a boomerang in a sense of like a think about Australia, and what a class curve is, symmetrical, asymmetrical that way, or what a isometric value of like a beyond a flat plane surface of two-dimensional, like a 2D isometrics of, like even a blueprint of like isometrics being three-dimensional of actual participation. Even the assumption that projected estimate would be in 3D of actual participation, not necessarily imagery, but actually like there and like with it and involved with it. Anyway, yeah. So like the thing about that seemed to be like the amphibious thing about the design on the Sprite can, and I like the Sprite and new thing about the, you've seen it on TV and you've probably heard it, and it's kind of like where did it really originate? But it's kind of like the P.S. I love you thing is kind of like it's like the Sprite thing, and like when the P is followed by an S, normally in English, it's the P is normally silent when the S is like following it chronologically from left to right, reading it right, or as far as speech goes. But likewise, in addition to the difference between county and country, once again, the R things, like when you see it, it's pronounced. When you don't, it's not. It's the difference between county and country. It's like all three are silent, and it's kind of like the IT. It's almost like the I, the deity of the the backside of the U.S. dollar, the deity, or what the absentee voting is to even Sprite and the the right stuff about the you know uh, astronauts and cosmonauts and legal media and deposition. I mean, for real, and the IT, almost like the absentee about the U.S. $1 and the I. and the sprite, beyond like the, sojourning through the wilderness of a golf course, even Garden of Eden, right? Yeah, for real. So, it kind of like it seemed like it'd get to the thing about chase, because like a 2 9-hole golf course, and 118 is like 36 anyway. But and like the Maxwell Get Smart thing about the Get Smart, it's spelled, on the television series in 1899, all that stuff. And I thought about, automatically, something about Chevy Chase and Department of Education, and not limited to some of his movies with his gestures, given all that Native American Indian stuff about how, or, how Eisenhower, um, yeah, and some other factors of like Eisenhower, and, just, what the gesture and thing about the Native American Indian is, even with like with President, um, you know, um, Eisenhower, Dwight Eisenhower. And if Dwight is only getting to the DYT YouTube thing, I mean, for real, um, you know what that is to the forefathers of the nation between FBI minus CIA, or Dwight being like, in pronunciation, white as like 65, and likewise white being YT like YouTube. I mean, for real, okay? And what that is to a Native American Indian in the Statue of Liberty, and that telepathic TPP and 36 like Chase, and oil, and what Abraham Lincoln night vision is, all that. Well, anyway, I was thinking about Bloomberg, something about the color code as compared to the iceberg, or, the ice age, and something about the, um, what I'm thinking about now is about the computation that had led, really because of the alphanumeric symbolic representation with 3 simple methods of addition equating to like 58. And the McDonald's coffee cup, hot cafe, I mean, they are the actual letters. Like, actually, when I was like doing the computation, I didn't even realize it at first, because I mean, it didn't come out like in chronological order in alphanumeric value, like spelling hot cafe, but those are the actual alphabetical letters in the alpha numeric computation, that with the 3. And why it's 3 is because it just seems to be like an automatic minimum requirement, equating to 58, like father, our father, and that symbolic representation. It's like almost like our Father in heaven, who art in heaven thing. It's almost like the telepathic symbolic representation on the backside of the U.S. $1 in a way, and likewise as a star. Well, anyway, it's kind of like, something about it, and all that airborne stuff about the Air Force, and maybe, the thought of like a local area network being like maritime law beyond the front lines of the beachfront, or making a grade beyond internet protocol, or what wide area means. So, like I'd mentioned, like Abraham Lincoln and night vision based upon, the rectangle. Um, yeah, and it seemed to be, like the pastels of Univision. And I mean, I would have never thought that Univision, and really they use 4 pastels, 3 pastels with 1 black, and then 3 pastels and 1 white. And I mean, I never even consciously even thought of it like pastel in any kind of way at that time. Going to the drum shop on Highway 59 Southwest Freeway, the drum shop, and think about the Pentagon, or drummer. I mean, really, I didn't know really anything. It's not that I ever looked for it or even knew anything about it, other than like A1 steak sauce, and didn't even consider it alphanumeric. But I mean, I knew that A was 1, okay? Or the color of money, being, money being 72 and brown, like A1 steak sauce, likewise in addition, or some things about that. But anyway, yeah, so like, I was like going to the drum shop for like predominantly my drum heads and drumsticks, and um, some factors out there, right there at Chimney Rock. And it didn't even, think of, like even a chimney being, or Chimney Rock being something like even at the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, or what the vertical hood ornament of Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln Continental, the rectangle at a 90 degree would be like horizontal, like Chimney Rock. But the thing of it is that being something in my mind, like going through, I mean, really, I mean, the thing about memory is like the huge big deal about a Stargate program. Yeah, I mean, like many years and realizing that, yeah. And here recently, it's kind of like something about, and I'm not sure if it's the Kremlin, but it's like something. I'm not even sure if it's a movie or a scene in the movie, but I mean, full attendance in uniform is like something about something very much about that. Then my last thing that I was thinking about is kind of, yeah, that too, right? And it's like a song that like a lot of bands I listen to, and it's just now really something in my thought and memory of like going through the Stargate program. And it's almost like an appraisal of a resurrection. I mean for real. And even remember, without television and some certain factor, I'm not sure if it's actually inside the criminal where it's really at. I mean, I know that like I'm right here in Pearland, Texas, and I've already known that networking is really an issue of like who's able to travel and who's really like involved with like description of employment or requirements being all stationary in the immediate area. What produces the thought of um, value in whatever that is in employment or I thought of even annuity. But the thing with this is like right now with considerable amount that had happened, that'd been like kind of like one of the thing about the White Heart and White Cross and like C++ programming and the CompTIA and it's kind of like I think about that because Infinity um and kind of like it's kind of like the thing about Infinity, is it really my last name? I mean really, is it my last name? Is it like the thing about is she born with Infinity? And the thing with this is that the figure eight, okay, the ice skater, I mean, with pi r squared with alphanumerics and linguistics, is ultimately like the thing about the ice skater, of the ice capades. And ice capades, my memory as far as like the cartoon, animated cartoon of like Anastasia, I mean, if my memory serves me correctly, I mean, I never really watched, but I'm pretty sure that the advertisements were reflecting something about ice skaters. Uh, in my thought about Anastasia, just hearing it automatically seemed to be like something in an operating room. As far as like anesthesia or even in a dentist's office that way or local anesthetic. But anyway, like when my memory, I'm thinking that I'm almost for certain that when I was just seeing the advertisement, it was probably maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Um, of the advertisement for the cartoon animation of Anastasia. I'm almost pretty sure. But what I'm saying now, and that's what I'm talking about. Like even with the design of the sprite. I mean, networking has really been, sometimes frustrating, but it almost seems to be like, something about the marginal spread of the tennis court, whether it's a singles or a doubles thing, or one is two and two is four thing of the tennis court and the marginal spread. And it seems to be like the big deal about the equator and the latitude at a 90 degree of like a Lee Iococa at Plymouth Rock and a misappropriation allocation of the Mississippi and the triangle schematics of the delta force and yet the pyramid, yet pi r squared that way would be the 6 point star, like a deep star six, or the thing about the liquid equity, what night vision is in the depths that's compared to space exploration, or code blue about the Israeli flag and the origin of Christianity and what that is to an American national of Mormon and American Amplified, or maybe even the Seventh Day Adventist in a way, or Jehovah Witness. It's not limited to, but I kind of like think for quite a bit about that stuff. But anyway, I was thinking about the thing about the question back in the '80s, and it's like in the immediate, and I'm not sure if it was like a sponsored by thing at the time, but it's like the guy that I'm like remembering, like it's kind of like, and immediately like even back then it's kind of like before I was like even thinking about alphanumerics or linguistics or geographic bibliography and presidential terms in office or anything like alphanumeric in any kind of way or linguistics. The guy is advertising the commercial for Infinity, and the question is she born with it? And now seems to be, something but almost like the Statue of Liberty and nativity point of origin, what the crown on the Statue of Liberty is to the euro dollar or the code blue thing of Israel. Or, what, something about, really, something about blue eyes and what that is to like, the alphanumerics are like a Chevrolet Silverado is like 213. And Los Angeles likewise in addition, okay, the area code. Yet Los Angeles is 109, okay. And my thing going through like a circuit, okay. And all this information is kind of like seems to be like what's going on like in supplemental security and SSI and the ISS and the SSI, and it's kind of like it's like the difference between pi r squared It's almost like the scale on a map, the legend thing. And I don't know if I would use a legend as maybe only skill or the greatness and power, magnification and power, right? But like the difference between the pi squared is compared to a exponential quotient of like variables of power and multiplication is like a tremendously huge thing, okay? And it's almost like the SSI and the ISS, the International Space Station, and it's kind of like thinking about something about in the mailbox because of the current resident. And really, I've been looking at something with blue eyes, very much so, and I mean years, okay? But the thing with this is that like at the time I didn't even realize it. It seemed like a 4 year, then 5 year, and 6 year, and like I'm just now realizing something about that in like the last year, okay, and this is like the year 2023, okay. In any case, yeah, so like and all the information about the six, in LASIX, okay, and I'm going to say it, I'm just going to kind of limit it at this because but I feel the need to say it, and I'm really going to anyway. LASIX, laser corrective eye surgery, okay. And the thing about the pronunciation of LASIX and six is like, like six presidential terms between, okay, Theodore to like Franklin Roosevelt, and the thing about the 9/11 between the 911 call and the emergency being 95 or 1995 to 2001, the World Trade Center, or from ABC 13 Houston to ABC 7 Los Angeles being a difference of six, and the difference between JD Powers and J10 and D4 being six, and I mean it goes on and on about what presidential reference is, and ultimately leads to what I've already previously done with like the tribe of Reuben being of scribes, okay. And all the way back then, even the three wise men thing about the even the tribe of Reuben using the stars, and the Mercedes Benz 3-point pi r squared thing about the 3-point 1416 and even the three wise men and pi r squared, and the tribe of Reuben is tribe of scribes using the stars. I mean, even isometrics in the metric system, automatically on paper it's isometric using the stars for navigation. I mean, anyway, what that is, Abraham Lincoln, night vision, and all that stuff. Well, anyway, it's kind of like a thing about the infinity in the question: is she born with it? And I'm really going like, is it really like my last name, or is it like really the Statue of Liberty, or going through the circuit and a Stargate program? And really, normally in corporate terminology, litigation is automatically a corporate thing, and the compatibility between corporate and business law, going through the circuit, and then ultimately the Six Flags thing, beyond like the Astroworld thing, Astroworld turning into Six Flags, and then moving to San Antonio, yet of Dallas, Six Flags of Dallas. Yet the Houston Astros is, the thing about the Astroworld, and then years later turning into Six Flags. Okay, well, Six Flags has ultimately gotten to the thing about the, like something in my mind between North American Free Trade Act and like NATO, a North Atlantic Treaties Organization. But I've seen it, and I've heard it more so of NATO, North Atlantic Treaties Organization, but I've actually seen it while it's being talked about with the NAP TO, like a NATO North Atlantic Peace Treaties Organization. And the P thing about the PTO, it's almost like the 3-point of a tractor and a protractor. Yet presents the thing about the pi r squared of like a, finding the actual diameter using a radius, like a protractor would be 180 degrees, and yet the pi r squared, of like a diagonal of the square itself, still presenting the 180 degree, and still presenting an extra circle and coordination, and like the figure eight, and like perfect 10-10 vision of pi r squared, getting into the exponential quotients of powers of multiplication. I mean, for real, and even in the planetarium of magnification of the thing about the astrology that way with like perfect 10-10 vision. I mean, throughout the universe and galaxy and the solar system. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, it's kind of like I was thinking about that because a coupon, yeah, for real. And all the computation, all that, it's kind of like it really just really for really about the last 3 years, but even more so, I guess, with the Diners Club thing about it being blue, because the halo side of that symbolic representation on the left side of the US $1. I mean, the three simple addition would be 58, yet it ultimately got to, the thought of, Highway 59 being alphanumerics 140 in Pearland, Texas, and attenuation, and alphanumerics, and FBI psychology minus RCA or 22, or FDIC, car, and all that 22 stuff, or even knowing that, something about Japanese being 71 in Pearland, that way would even be the 22 alphabetical letters of Japanese. Yet, going beyond, like here recently, like immediately, like a Washington Post thing with HOA, 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 Homeowners Association, and the blue and purple bird of Israel being the whoopa, beyond, the high silver thing of the oldest governmental computer mainframe being the whopper, and the whoopa, and the HOA of the Homeowners Association, Washington Post, and WP. And, like I listened to Wilson Phillips, and I always have ever since, their hold on thing, about the, I mean, that's the one that, like, I really love. I really like that particular CD. But anyway, it's kind of like I listen to it all the time still. I mean, from like early, like 1980s to like 2023. And the thing about, Wilson Phillips being the WP, or Wilson, being 92, like a drummer, Pentagon, or anything like that, and Phillips, it's almost getting to like the C++ programming of Phillips, or, a little bit of humor. I mean, for real, mustering up enough courage to go to the mailbox. Something about really, I mean, as American as hot dogs and apple pie, or, so that's what two tacos for 99 cents looks like. Um, yeah, the Pirates were, the art link letter thing about the alignment in the parallel universe and Y2K technology, right? A little bit of humor about, the word relation between architecture and platform, and what that is to, degree level, a ripple standards of consensual participation, yet embedding encryption, those are the four, and how the equator and the operator and the 9 degree of an equator and operator and all that stuff about simulate the thing about the Marshall spread of the tennis court, ultimately getting to the Christopher Columbus thing about the Lee Iococa thing, and yeah, the Plymouth Rock thing, the misappropriation of allocation of the Mississippi, or what Amazon.com is to shopping in Pearland, Texas. Likewise, or Lee Iacocca being the thing about Dodge and the double forward slash on a charger, and the ACTP being all 64 about the zero thing and the operator, and operator being 108 in Chevrolet, and bicentennial like the bicentennial quarter. And I'm a drummer anyway, right? So and the 200-year celebration and all that stuff, and getting to the zero side once again. Yeah, being 64 in ACTP, American and Israel, and all that stuff. Well, anyway, it's kind of like thinking about the Bloomberg thing because of a Bloomberg, and something about the degree to graduate alum, or is it bloom, loom, alum, fruit of the loom for purple mountains majesties above the fruited plains, America, America, Bloomberg, um, the alumni, the bloom in Bloomberg, for purple mountains and majesties above the fruited plains. So, so anyway, really the word relation, okay, and what that is to a drummer, even elastic. I mean, for real. But and the thing with this is that really the thing about Diners Club is like the blue thing. And right now I'm like SSI, and involved with the EBT, and what a fixture in real estate is to like a commercial venue, living quarters. And, what's the deal about residential neighborhoods having a problem with programming, staying alive, or like really what's the deal about the question of infinity, when ultimately in my mind it seems to be getting to the figure eight of an ice skater, and perfect 10-10 vision of the pi r squared, getting into the quantum side of like a exponential quotients beyond calculus, and it's kind of like, I see the WP on the album cover of Wilson Phillips, okay, I listen to it, I mean, all the time. It's on my youtube.com channel, Wade ASV Pretty PRIDDY, and like really what's going on with my youtube.com channel, Wade ASV Pretty PRIDDY, okay, 192, it's kind of like really what's going on with it, okay. In any case, yeah, Wade ASV Pretty PRIDDY, okay, youtube.com. And I'm not going to have anything else to say about that right now anyway, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, so like yeah, So anyway, like Wilson Phillips, it's kind of like it's kind of like an Alvin. Okay, there's like the junior college thing about the community college, Alvin ACC. It's almost like the AAA involved with like the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, with AAA representing towing. Beyond the front lines of the beach, right? Yet amphibious in a way of J. Edgar Hoover, of the Federal Communications Commission, and degree level, even the equator, that way of the operator, beyond the Better Business Bureau, of the corporate thing, some DC, you know, domestic laws and direct secretary, that way, beyond the thought of like a, District of Columbia. The way I see District of Columbia sometimes, um, still seem to be a thing about education, not beyond high school. That's one thing. And likewise, in addition, some of the information of the history of the U.S. dollar below the equator. I mean, if ultimately it's like Amazon.com or misappropriation allocation of the Mississippi, and the biggest mouth being something about Lee Iacocca and Plymouth Rock, or the Dodge thing, being Plymouth and Lee Iacocca involved with like Dodge, Plymouth, and Chrysler, and what the deal is with Dodge and 35 and NASA and Austin Powers, Bluebonnet, Imperial Eagle. And the thing with this is like the question with Infinity. Ever since I heard it, I continue. What is he really asking? Well, I mean, what is he saying? Is she born with it? It's kind of like, you got to be kidding me. I never even thought of my last name even be anything involved like that. But certain factors have happened that have led me, to the point of the chase thing, the telepathic TP, and all that. How Eisenhower, gesture in a way representative of American history, that way of a Native American Indian, predominantly practical application of bewildered, behavior in need of management, and a more civil thing about it, and given something that would maintain maybe not the need, if not provide a whole different perspective of how to get what is needed in a more civil way, and not necessarily the thing about the Indian. Okay, that being provided that way, even Wyatt Earp representing something like that, even political science terminology in my mind, representative of something maybe beyond reservation or reserve, Pentagon Reserve Reverse, and implementation seems to be the word more so of William Jefferson Clinton in his terms of office, and Al Gore. What the algorithm is, uh, in algebra, or going through calculus on in the quantum, or is it really the thought of like a writ of habeas corpus? My thing about the humor about and like but I have he said da 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 da, yeah, but I have Saturn sky onion rings in orbit for sure, da 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 da. Come on, I really can't believe it's butter anyway. Da 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 da, and my toll doesn't require rid of habeas corpus. A little bit of humor there, but I mean, it seems to be like almost getting like a student loan is representative of the EBT and supplemental nutrition assistance program and the Lone Star card involving food. That way, it's like almost like a writ of habeas corpus, and why a U.S. patent is not a copyright. But all three are normally placed together as information that's presented as thought of as together, but really not. But it's always viewed that way, and that information is distributed that way. Of like U.S. patents, trademarks, and copyrights, and it's kind of like almost like an EBT situation of the English Parliament in my mind, and E equal MC squared. And yeah, I think I see it. Yeah, and what that is with Apple iPhone SE and C, and the difference between SE and like the ERISA statute once again, and the IRA and the color code of the 1040EZ, because I've seen color codes of tax forms involving itemization, Schedule A, B, and other factors of like the 1099 and the 1040EZ and the color code of the like Air Force One. And the thing about going through the circuit, at least in the Houston Harris thing about the midnight blue, Air Force One has most definitely been the midnight blue, and the I don't know if I'd call it a pastel baby blue or what Babylon is too. I think it's 71 likewise. What is that? 28, 38, 39, 40. Um, I'll have to think about it. It might be 71 anyway. What's it? Hmm. Anyway, I'll think about it later. Anyway, Yeah, so anyway, like the Air Force One is like I've seen it with the midnight blue as well as the pastel and even more so the color of the 1040 EZ of the pastel baby blue or whatever the case is, but pastel being all 73 and Israeli, like the Israeli flag, or think about that Israel being 64 and American and all that stuff about a 6-point star. But yeah, it seems to be like all that information now is kind of like like almost Air Force One or what, Air One 103.7 Christian FM radio seems to be like, the number 103 being like satellite and point 0.7 like the 7 layers of the atmosphere. Yeah, yeah, truthfully so. Um, and I thought, somehow about the Ted Turner, based upon information of like broadcasting, taking television and audio production and music video business like the Art Institute right next to the Marathon Oil and like Yorktown and San Felipe and then area, and then there's like the thing about really that what's in that immediate area not far away from there was like the deal about really what I'm talking about right now about a current resident and like a bunch of coupons, and one particular one actually seemed to be the LASIK thing, and like through years, I mean I'm not sure, but I think if my memory serves me correctly, that is a picture that really I looked at, and I'm not sure if it's like when I was at the age of 15. I think it's like 1978 or 79. Yeah, but something about the memory of something about that at the age, and I'm not sure if that picture is actually available, but I'm sure something about an experience might very well be exactly that. Yeah. But in any case, yeah. So I'm kind of like wondering what the question is of infinity is. Is she born with it, or what that deal is about that the thing on the pitching mound? Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So, anyways, it's definitely something that kind of like connected, something about throughout the years. But anyway, it's like the picture of LASIK's corrective eye surgery, and the person on there's like with blue eyes. Very much perfect 10-10 vision that way. But anyway, it's like like I didn't even realize anything about anything other than the current resident and like a bunch of coupons. But that's the one that really really looked at and kept. But seriously, anyway, the thing with this is that ultimately it's like six, LASIK, the way it's pronounced. And LA being like Los Angeles and all that stuff, and all the alphanumerics of like Los Angeles, or even the last area code of like Los Angeles being um, 323, that's been, the year 2023, or, the General Motors GMC is talking about raising the bar. And the thing with this is that it seems to be that GMC being 23, likewise their CEO, or my thought of like even Mercedes Benz, the 3 point in the power squared of the area code in the Los Angeles area, 323 as compared to 213, and Los Angeles being 109, or 109 is 110 is 247. And my thing about what the 100 Club is too, Code Blue, or Star David and Israel, or bring on the Oval Office and the thing about Camp David, and yeah, all right, it's like superstars are involved, like Campbell's Alphabet Soup, right? Yeah, superstar, yeah. Campbell's Alphabet Soup, yeah. Beyond Camp David, there's Camp Bells, yeah. Yeah, and Southwestern Bell getting into the AT&T and T and the white and blue thing about in my mind, I'm almost saying like 1965 and AT&T being 41 in USA and all that stuff about the United States of America and the acronym, right? The thing about the acronym is um, like 41, right? Anyway, so like there seemed to be something even about the year of like Pearl Harbor, um, knowing that much about um, Pearl Harbor, like 1941, and even the acronym USA being 41, and it's almost like algebra finding the unknown thing about the alphanumerics 112 and 101, like Highway 101 in Los Angeles applies to like alphanumerics 112 in Houston's like 213, or Galveston County, and this is Brazoria, okay, and Pearland, Texas, okay, and all the geographics, even beyond Ohio Silver, um, the Whopper, the oldest governmental computer, into the whoopa, the bird, the blue and purple bird of Israel, and all the connectivity with all that, like love triangle thing about, information from like Europe to Africa, and even, a principle of exponential quotients, a combination between power squared and exponential quotient of like Apple iPhone SE and the slide, power on, power off with the horizontal slide, right? Apple iPhone SE seems to be like a big deal about whether or not if um, the Gulf of Mexico is the deal in liquid equity in the way of like 69 and Texas and Jehovah, although this is Texas. The thing with this is that if Amazon.com has been, a factor, even if Plymouth Rock or Lee Iococa, ultimately getting to the thought of like NASA and space exploration and a black dot on a map, and what family law is to Vernon's a degreed or non-degreed issue, obviously a political science thing that's been manufactured for, a non-degree situation, and how that even happens, um, even controlled that much that way. And I have something to say about it, and that's what I'm doing right now, yeah. So what Vernon State of Texas is, State of Texas statutes annotated is that, thoughts of like a Stargate program. Ultimately, like I said, like here recently, many things about memory seem to be like the deal, and like beginning like a 1993 and 94, 95, and 96, ultimately going through a circuit, okay, um, a 10-year period, yeah. But going in and out, it's kind of like, seeing huge amounts of like growth and population and structures and building. And all the alphanumerics are like FFAI, Miracle being 78, and building itself, and Hard God, and, Hard being like 52, and Hearts plural being 71 in Pearland, or Pearl, or, likewise, the drum set as compared to the Pearl itself, or what the difference between, like the Golden Arches as compared to the one white arch in St. Louis, and the Pearl thing about it, and Hopsing, and something amphibious with J. Edgar Hoover that way. But anyway, like I was getting on the thing about the Diners Club is because it seems to be like the deal about the computation of like quantum, the code blue thing about quantum, because on the left side, really the one horizontal line like right in the middle would present the EE, and really the only thing about it is the memory of like a calculator of calculus. Not necessarily Wilson Phillips, but it seemed to be like the Washington Post legal media and deposition that way, even to like Univision and the Houston Post, and a diagonal thing about the computation of pi r squared and the greatness of magnitude and difference between pi r squared, um, the exponential quotients of like powers of multiplication. I mean, it's like the scale on the map, or like the Minute Maid field in the Nimitz class, about the three nuclear powered aircrafts and three nuclear powered submarines. And the thing about, normally in the courtroom, okay, normally the transcripts are identified as minutes. And like I was studying all that stuff anyway, thinking that way, going through the circuit really before. And it really originated because of, yes, the June 14th, 1992, yes, baptism. I mean, for real, okay. Not many days hence, yay, once again. Okay, and about a 6 month period later, okay, didn't even realize, but yeah, something about obviously the psychic warrior, America's foremost psychic spy. Yeah, and in the cover of this top secret CIA Stargate program. Well, anyway, like something like that was happening. I was going through the circuit, okay, and wasn't even thinking about that really. Although that was information I'd already looked at, but wasn't even really considering that. But obviously now, so I'm like, yeah. So anyway, it's kind of like the memory, beyond litigation being a corporate thing, or memory only being the issue of like de facto, or the sprite thing about the jurisprudence as compared to the province, or what the real deal is about the you know I mean, if ultimately if it gets to like jurisprudence is only a result of annotation, suggesting monopolization and how that happens in real estate. um I have something to say about it, or like even Roe v. Wade, or adoption, abortion, or or what annotated really obviously seems to be involved with jurisprudence, or the cause and effect of like who's who, getting a result, and that would affect a participating